My entitled crazy mother demands that I give her money and even goes as far as trespassing on my property to demand that I finance her life simply because she's my mother. And after dealing with this for so long, as well as watching the effect she's had on my kids, I am seriously at my breaking point and I really don't know what to do. Here's what happened. This story also came from the Am I the Jerk subreddit. Check the links in the description if you would like to submit your own story. I'm a 35-year-old female, and I am the oldest of a family with 8 other siblings, including my twin brother. Growing up, my twin and I were inseparable. We faced the chaos of a large family together, and we always had each other's backs. Despite the large family dynamic, we managed to carve out our own little world of support and understanding. Our mom, however, was a completely different story. She had a reputation for being very permissive and often neglected her responsibilities. She had multiple relationships throughout our childhood, which created a lot of instability and drama in our household. My siblings and I often felt like we had to fend for ourselves while she pursued her own interests. There were times when she would leave us with barely enough food and money, prioritizing her romantic escapades over our basic needs. Well, my twin brother and I managed to break away from the toxic environment. We both worked hard, we went to college, and eventually found success in our respective fields. I became a successful screenwriter, while my twin brother built a career in tech. And despite our chaotic upbringing, we remained close and supported each other. I met my wonderful husband who owns a successful bakery during my early career. We have 4 amazing children, and we've built a stable and loving home together. And my husband has been incredibly supportive, especially given my family's history. But our other siblings, unfortunately, were not as fortunate. Many of them struggled with finding stability and frequently leaned on our mom for support, which she could rarely provide. Instead, she continued her pattern of irresponsible behavior, often making poor financial decisions and expecting us to bail her out. A few months ago, our mom came to me asking for a significant amount of money to cover her latest financial crisis. She had gotten herself into debt yet again and expected me to help her out. I was hesitant given her track record, but I did give her some money hoping that she would use it wisely. Well, unsurprisingly, she squandered it and came back asking for more. When I refused, she became furious and started bad-mouthing me to our extended family, painting me as the ungrateful daughter who refused to help her struggling mother. My older siblings also chimed in saying that I owed it to her, all because she raised us and that family should always come first. Now, one incident that really solidified my decision was when our mom showed up at my house unannounced, literally standing there demanding money from me. My children were frightened by the commotion, and my husband had asked her to leave our property. This caused a lot of stress for our family, and I don't want to put my kids through that ever again. But thankfully, my twin brother supports my decision. He has also faced the same request from our mom and has been firm in his refusals. We both believe that our mom needs to take responsibility for her actions, and that continuously bailing her out will only enable her behavior. There have been numerous instances where my mom's actions directly impacted my family. She once showed up during my daughter's birthday party, causing a scene because I refused to give her money. She embarrassed me in front of my friends and my children's friends, and my kids were heartbroken that their special day was ruined by their grandma's outburst. On another occasion, she borrowed money from my twin brother, promising to pay him back as soon as she could. But instead, she just spent it on a lavish vacation with her latest boyfriend. When my brother confronted her, she just accused him of being selfish and not understanding her struggles. My mom also has a history of manipulating our younger siblings and making them feel obligated to support her financially. She has drained their savings and caused rift between them and their own families. So it seems like a never-ending cycle of guilt and manipulation. Despite my mom and siblings attempting to guilt trip me, I feel I need to focus on my own family's well-being. I worked hard to get where I'm at, and I don't want my mom's irresponsible behavior to jeopardize the stability and peace that we've built. My husband and I have plans for our children's futures, and we cannot afford to be derailed by my mom's constant financial problems. My extended family keeps pressuring me to help her out, saying that I owe it to her all because she raised me. But the reality is that she has only ever taken from me and never given me anything in return. My success is a result of my hard work and determination, and it has absolutely nothing to do with her support. And I need to protect my husband and my kids from this toxic behavior. So am I the jerk for refusing to help my mom financially? Because right now I am very frustrated and I really don't know what to do. Yeah, the way your mom is like demanding money and showing up to your house to get it, in my opinion, is completely inappropriate. Like seriously, who's gonna act like that? Especially after the upbringing that she gave you and your siblings. Like she was barely a mother at all. Your mom never stepped up when you were younger, and now that you're older, everybody's trying to guilt trip you into like funding her life? No, that's absolutely not gonna happen, and that is so inappropriate. And I think think worst of all, it just really sucks that your younger siblings don't see this. They're trying to play into this weird guilt-tripping situation where they're like, oh yeah, you have to help her out because she's family. But like seriously, when has she ever acted like family? So seriously, in my opinion, any financial problems that your mom is having is not suddenly your problem. Just because she's bad with money doesn't mean you have to drop everything you're doing and bail her out, because clearly she's not good with money, and if you did continue to finance her life, then things are only going to get worse. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. An entitled jerk goes into a rage after he's proven wrong by both my wife and the clearly printed sign standing right in front of him. And I've honestly never been happier to watch someone freak out in my life. Here's what happened. So my wife and I went to a minor league baseball game last night for a date night, and we walked into a little bar and food stand to get some refreshments before finding our seats. Immediately upon walking in, we noticed a group or like a semi-line of people backed up around the center of the bar. Now mind you, this is about 25 feet long with 5 registers and bartenders. On either side of the middle register were very clearly printed signs stating do not line up, just come to a register and we will help you out. The sign also reminded patrons to smile because this is a minor league baseball park, so it's supposed to be fun and it's supposed to be a friendly environment. So my wife and I ignore this public traffic, we follow the instructions, and we make our way to the far left register and we start placing our order with a very sweet bartender. Well, immediately, a stereotypical jerk immediately comes up to us and aggressively starts complaining. He looks at us and says, we're in line. My wife, who is typically extremely non-confrontational, replied and said, okay, cool story, bro, but you're supposed to just walk up. When she said that, this guy went into full rage mode, and this is probably partially from being put in his place by a woman. He actually started to come at her verbally, but the bartender immediately shut him down and said cheerfully, sir, she is correct. You can just walk right up. In fact, I can help you both at the same time if you like. This guy then responds by saying, but there are 2 signs saying to form a line. But the bartender says, no sir, the signs clearly state not to form a line and to just come up to a free register. Again, I can help you all at once. What can I get you? Now, instead of just ordering his food, he just continues to complain that both my wife and I and the bartender were completely wrong. Well, eventually the bartender proceeds to ignore him and just go ahead with making our drinks, saying under her breath that we did perfect. This guy's face had turned fire engine red at this point. I thought literal steam was going to come out of his ears when we carried our drinks out past him while he still hadn't ordered anything, all because he couldn't stop crying about how we were somehow incorrect. My wife then told them to enjoy the game in a very cheery tone, which truly was the chef's kiss on top of this truly awkward interaction. I love this story for a few reasons, because maybe it's just me, but I find almost a sick satisfaction in watching people who are incredibly rude and very entitled get proven wrong right in front of their face. Like, that just absolutely makes my day. So seeing this entitled jerk get so mad, only to then be proven wrong just because they can't read, in my opinion, makes this entire story completely worth it. My entitled father constantly acts like a child and refuses to respect my boundaries. And I now feel like I'm at my breaking point because right now I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So my dad and I are currently vacationing together with a few other family members also in tow. He is undiagnosed but very likely autistic. He's never taken the parent role but rather always plays the victim. He is obsessed with weird stuff such as car plates, flight routes, crosswords, and a lot more than just that. The older I get, the more frustrated I become with him. Because he has such a difficult time making friends, and especially interacting with women, he has developed a hatred for females and just constantly makes sly comments and remarks, and as a woman myself, it drives me nuts. He is very lonely and reliant on his mother, and it makes his hatred towards women even more contradictive. So honestly, my cup is full. Ever since I came here yesterday, he has been nagging me. He makes these awful comments saying that women should be trade wives, or women just don't know how to be consistent or make decisions. But I told him, listen, don't say that. You know I don't like it when you say that. But when I made this comment, it only made him continue, as if he enjoyed getting a reaction from me. I believe he struggles with separating the concept that yes, I am his daughter, but I'm also a woman. Later in the evening, when I was doing my workout routine, he asked me how much I weigh, insinuating that I had gained some weight. And when he said that, I was severely triggered, given that I have previously struggled with an eating disorder. I sat down and confronted him with why he was so incredibly rude to me, and he said that he had felt recently that I'm pulling away, and he wanted to punish me for this by making sly remarks. I told him this would only make our relationship worse, which he then started the discussion that I started to pull away first, and that this was a natural reaction to that. I also pointed to the fact that he does not act like a parent at all. He never opens his home to me or makes me feel at home. But then he said that I never invite him either. But I know the reality is that he wants for me to make him dinner in my home so that I can act like his caretaker and not the other way around. It's just so incredibly lazy and weird. It kind of sickens me how rude and childish he is, especially his remarks towards women. It's just really bugging me. I really don't know how to approach it further, given that I get this reaction by confronting him. He said he wanted to hang out more, but I just don't know anymore. I don't have much family left since I cut contact with my narcissistic mother, and so I think I've just given him too much benefit of the doubt up until now. He simply won't respect my boundaries, and given his reaction, I don't think that he will going forward either. What should I do? First and foremost, I totally understand where you're coming from, where you think he might be like undiagnosed autistic, but even if he was like diagnosed and confirmed to be autistic, that is not even the beginning of an excuse for acting this way and being completely sexist. There are plenty of people who are autistic and don't act this way. These comments are so toxic and so unbecoming of someone trying to pretend to be your father, because here he's like, oh man, I feel like you're pulling away. But it's like, are you kidding me? Of course the original poster would pull away. Why should she be expected to put up with these awful comments about women and not be offended by what he's saying? Like seriously, this guy's a complete moron. He's literally causing this divide in his relationship with his daughter, but also trying to be like, wow, you're the one that's pulling away, when he's the one that's causing the problem in the first place. Like that would drive me nuts as well, because I can't stand when people shift the blame like that. So honestly, if I was in your shoes, I would completely shut him down anytime he tries to make that comment again. If he's doing it for an emotional response, then I would go about this in the most benign way possible and really show him that no, you're not going to be around him if he's going to act this way. And then I would just stick to those boundaries completely and say, okay, well, I'm not going to talk to you anymore if this is how you're going to act. Because it sounds like he doesn't think there's any kind of like consequences for these comments, and maybe it's time for you to step up and show that yes, there are. Because if this is how he's going to act, then in my opinion, he deserves to be put in his place. My significant other accused me of cheating despite the fact that I'm pregnant. And even though he apologized and tried to make things right, I'm worried that the damage is already done, because right now I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, I want to start off by saying that 95% of our relationship is happy, healthy, and great. We laugh together all the time. We just moved in together a few months ago, and I am now 8 weeks pregnant. Yesterday, one of his family members, who had a mutual friend in their friend group who was married to a coworker of mine, called my boyfriend and told him that they heard I was really into illegal substances and that I was sleeping with people so I could obtain more. They also added that a man showed up at my work and was yelling at me. Well, it turns out that this all stemmed from me telling my coworkers months ago about an argument that my significant other and myself got into when I told him I did some illegal substances back in college. So then he got upset that I was someone other than who he believed I was. Either way, I was furious that a huge game of telephone ensued, and even more furious at my significant other's reaction. He immediately asked to go through my phone and insisted that I was lying to him over and over again. He even asked if the baby was even his. Now, it's important to add that I have never done anything to make him question my loyalty, but on the other hand, he has, however, accused me of falsely sneaking around 2 other times at a much smaller level, which was also a problem then, but this really takes the cake. He was cheated on in the past and admits about having issues around trust. He left the apartment yesterday and came back later only to continue to berate me and say that he doesn't know who I am anymore and that he knew it was all a front all along. His family member eventually called him back and cleared everything up and told him that he was acting crazy, but I feel like the damage was done. He half-heartedly apologized, but when I asked him to sleep on the couch, he got so mad that he punched our balcony door. He has never acted like that before, and at this point, I kind of lost it, and I told him that I don't want to be with him anymore if this is how he's going to act, and that him being mad at me being mad is completely messed up. He ended up crying and apologizing profusely, but I am at such a loss. I'm in shock and I'm numb, and I just can't decide what I should do. I feel like my faith in him is completely destroyed. He messaged me this morning and said something along the lines of, well, we both said some things that we didn't mean yesterday, and he is sorry, and he loves the baby, and he loves me too. But I just don't think he gets it. I mean, what should I do right now? Do I leave? Do I move back home to my family out of state? Do I require couples counseling? I am tired of failed relationships, and I've done couple counseling in 2 other partnerships, so I'm just tired. I don't want to be with someone I don't trust. And all of this is crazy to me. Aside from the other 2 incidents that I mentioned earlier, we genuinely have a happy and healthy relationship. But at this point, point, I feel so confused and I seriously don't know what to do. Yeah, I can completely understand where you're coming from because the damage in a lot of ways is already done. For starters, it seems like he jumped to some weird conclusion pretty much overnight and just automatically believed that you were cheating on him. Like, that is so awful, it's not even funny. But for him to go even farther and get mad that you got mad at him, in my opinion, shows exactly how guilty he probably feels, but it doesn't justify his behavior in the slightest. That half-hearted apology absolutely needs to be more heartfelt because his behavior is absolutely unacceptable and you do not deserve to be treated like this in the slightest. This next story also came from the Am I the Jerk subreddit. Check the links in the description if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for wanting to cut ties with my toxic family, especially after the way they treated me growing up? Because right now I'm trying to move on with my life and I need to figure out if this is the right move. Here's what happened. I'm a 27-year-old female and I grew up splitting my time between my mom and dad's house. My parents split up right after I was born and my dad started dating my stepmom when I was 3 years old. They had my brother when I was 6 and my dad and stepmom constantly fought, and it often got so bad that I would be sent to my room to pack in case we needed to go to my grandma's house. One day during one of their big fights, my stepmom stormed into my room and started yelling at me. She said to me, "Are you happy now? Are you happy, you stupid entitled brat? Me and your father are fighting because of you." Now, mind you, I was only 6 years old. I was constantly yelled at and blamed for their issues. As I got older, my brother became aggressive and entitled. When he was about 6 to 9 years old, he would hit and punch me, but I was told to suck it up because I was older. I would get bruises, but it was brushed off because he was 7 and I was 13, and it was so ridiculous. We had a dog when I was 12 years old, but we had to give him away because my brother mistreated him. My stepmom told people it was because I neglected him. Also, her son wasn't to blame, even though my dad and I were the ones taking care of him. I also frequently lost money that I earned from selling bracelets, only to find out that my stepmom and my brother had taken it. And we're talking hundreds of dollars at the time. My stepmom would badmouth me to my friends, and when they told me, I was forbidden from hanging out with them because they were starting drama. She also criticized my weight, saying things like, "You should lose a few pounds. In fact, I got you this outfit because it hides your stomach rolls. Us fat girls have to use them." This caused me significant insecurities, and I often found myself feeling like I didn't have a family since I was only at each house half the time. I started feeling better when I saved enough money from selling bracelets to get my own dog, who literally goes with me everywhere. My anxiety, which got so bad that I would pass out, improved after I got my dog certified as a service dog. So, given all this time, would I be the jerk if I cut ties with my stepmom and my brother? What should I do? Honestly, I don't blame you in the slightest for not wanting anything to do with them, because based on what you described, they sound like awful people. I can't imagine anybody going up to a 6-year-old kid and then screaming at them in their room and being like, "Oh yeah, our marriage problems are your fault." Like, that is so insane to me. That doesn't make any sense. And the obvious favoritism towards your younger stepbrother is just insane. So, considering everything that you've been through, as well as the way your stepmother and your brother treated you, I do not blame you in the slightest for wanting to step away from them and cut them off. Because I know if I was in your shoes, I probably would have done the exact same thing. Am I the jerk for not making a bigger deal out of my half-sister celebrating the end of my parents' marriage? Here's what happened. Okay, so my parents announced 2 months ago that they're getting divorced. Now, I did kind of see it coming, but it still makes me very sad. But my half-sister, who is older than me, has been celebrating ever since she heard about this. She cheered when our dad told her, and she has gloated in my mom's face and in mine. She told mom that she can forget about being a part of her life or even going to her wedding now because she's engaged. My half-sister always hated that dad remarried after her mom passed away, and she said she never wanted to have my mom or me around. And she felt this way ever since she was 5 years old when this happened. She was always praying for the end of the marriage. She used to try and break them up in the past, and dad would get so mad and frustrated with her, but she never let that dream die, and now her dream has come true. The last time my mom or myself saw my half-sister was when dad was moving out, and when she stopped by briefly, she gloated so hard. This was also when she told mom that she was no longer invited to the wedding and no longer going to be part of her life. And now my mom is super upset. Despite my half-sibling's dislike of her and constant disrespect, my mom loves her, and she's sad to see it all end before they had a chance to even be friends. And my mom always wanted to be family to my half-sister. My maternal aunt saw that my sister had posted on social media that she had thrown a party, but it turned out that she was celebrating the divorce itself. My parents were upset, but I could just shrug it off because I knew she would be so happy about this, and her celebration does not surprise surprise me at all. But my parents asked me why I'm so calm and collected about this. I told them I expected her reaction, and I always knew that she wanted this badly. They said they would expect me to be upset, but I told them that maybe if I expected something different from her, but I didn't. I pointed out that everyone in her comments knew as well. There were loads of people saying how she always called it and how glad they were that she got this win. But to me, it's just so dumb. Well, my aunt confronted me afterwards and told me I should be making a bigger deal out of it because it looks like I don't care about the weird and over-the-top reaction from my half-sister. She said that mom must feel like I don't care about her heartache at all, that it's rough to see a child that she loved and helped raise cheer on the fact that she's getting divorced from dad. So am I the jerk for not making a bigger deal out of this? Because right now, I seriously don't know what to do. No, I don't think you're the jerk at all, because I think your aunt is completely wrong. What your stepsister is doing is completely awful, and in my opinion, it has nothing to do with you. Like, don't get me wrong, I think what your stepsister is doing is super toxic, but even still, I completely understand your reaction. So no, I don't think you're the jerk, and I don't think it's a bad idea to stop from getting roped into this, because this is already a hard situation, and the last thing that's gonna help is another person getting involved in this kind of drama. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.